Back on the player power rankings then with the enforcer of the team, the tight headlock. I've had to find a way to separate the two second rows in a team. So the tight headlock, the big unit, the enforcer, the guy that smashes people and smashes rucks, sets the tone physically for their team, usually scrummages behind the tight head prop. On the next video, it will be the loose headlock, which is your line out forward, more of an athlete, scrummages behind the loose head prop. Obviously, some players play both roles. I've just had to draw a line arbitrarily and put people in one camp or the other for the purpose of this. It's the countdown of the top 10 people in their position in the world right now, based on current and recent form. And the last time I did this was the Rugby World Cup, so the games that have happened since then. Historic form comes into play as well, because otherwise it would just fluctuate wildly and would become basically meaningless. And a bit of gut feeling goes in there as well. I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. If you appreciate and enjoy the content on the channel, I would love it I would earn your subscription on this video if I haven't already, and give the video a thumbs up, that helps. So this is the category so far, and maybe overall, where there's been the most change in any one position, because there have been some enormous names in the sport who have retired, guys like Brodie Retallick, and there have been loads of brilliant young and new faces emerging on the international stage. So get prepared for some fluctuation on this one. Your thoughts as ever. Starting at number 10 with Grant Gilchrist. This guy's a big old unit. He's done brilliantly for Scotland. This may be for him a brief flirtation with the top 10, because he's 33 years young. Let's see how much Scotland use him in the years ahead. But you can't argue with how good he is. What an engine. And he's sort of supplanted Richie Gray in that role for Scotland at the moment. He's good enough for my top 10. Well done to Grant Gilchrist. And number 9, Will Rowlands. He had an absolutely fantastic World Cup, didn't he? He stays at number 9 on my list. Slightly injury blighted year for him. Wasn't only one appearance for Wales during the Six Nations, and hopefully he's fit and available, and Wales use him because they need him. And alongside David Jenkins, you've got quite a handy lock partnership there. He's got enough credit in the bank from the World Cup that I'm keeping Will Rowlands right where he is. Let's see how he gets on in the games ahead. Same goes for Ollie Chesham. I mean, he played a couple of games at blindside flanker for England during the Six Nations. 3 starts at lock. Really good in the Rugby World Cup. Few injuries, but enough credit in the bank. Really good athlete. He may drop down this list because of the emergence of George Martin. Who's had quite the impact for England, and watch this space for George Martin to appear. But right now, Ian Henderson, who drops down a spot, but I really have got so much time for Ian Henderson. Absolutely class operator, underrated, I think. And were he another nationality or many other nationalities, he'd be instant choice. He's just in a very good crop of locks for Ireland, and he's had another injury blighted year. It's been horrible for Ulster generally off the pitch. He's been the skipper and has had to try and keep those guys together. I wouldn't bet against Ian Henderson getting back fit, getting back to form, and earning himself another British and Irish Lions tour next summer. But he has slightly been on the slide this last year, but largely due to injury. 32 years young, he's still got a bit of gas in the tank. Will Skelton, he's dropping down as well. Has there ever been such a disparity between the performances of a player at club level and international level? He was the captain for Australia at the World Cup. Well, I didn't really play for him, did he? And obviously saw what happened there. Will he be back in Joe Schmidt's plans? I mean, I hope so. Otherwise, he'll be sliding right out of the top 10. But he's such a unique individual and absolutely devastating when he's on form. I mean, he's 150 kgs. There's very few individuals in the world that are Will Skelton's size and shape. He can be absolutely devastating. And actually, when you look at the performances for La Rochelle this season, he played a lot of 80-minute matches for La Rochelle. I think he did in the top 14 semi-final, full 80-minute shift, and he's brilliant when he does play. So Will Skelton slides down. He's at number 6. He could be going up, or he could be sliding right out of the top 10. We'll wait and see over the next few months. George Martin in at number 5, a new entry. What an impact! 23 years young, and you know what? Bearing in mind, there was one Englishman. Just as an Englishman, let me speak right now. It pained me that I only included one Englishman in all 30 players that I picked in the front row. I'm so happy I get to pick an Englishman in the second row, and I'm attempting to be as objective and reasoned as I possibly can be. I think George Martin's worth his place at number 5 on that list. He was immense in the Rugby World Cup semi-final. Just smashes people, and going up against South Africa in that game, you can see why instantly. I remember being in the Stade de France for that game, and you can see why Steve Borthwick selected him and not Ollie Chesham. He was huge, and he has brought that physical edge to England. He played 80 minutes against Japan, and then he played 80 minutes in both of those test matches against New Zealand, and was excellent. Young, new to international rugby, this kid is going places. As is Emmanuel Mafu. He's new to international rugby, 26 years of age, so he qualified on residency, Australian by birth, French now, he's got citizenship, he's a French international. And I talked about Will Skelton being a rare and unique individual, just the size and shape. Emmanuel Mafu, if anything, is even bigger. An absolute bear of a man and a physical freak, and he is able to do things that very few people are able to do. And for Toulouse, where he won the Champions Cup, he won the top 14 again, and with France, in the limited amount of times he's been able to turn out for them, he's been class. He's going to be a key part of that French team moving forward. Just like Joe McCarthy has become a key part of the Ireland team moving forward. Another player rocketing up to number 3. And yeah, what an impact he has had in the last year or so, Joe McCarthy. When I went back and looked back at previous videos in this position, and a bunch of comments from very, very smart and knowledgeable Ireland fans, the first time I did this about a year ago, were saying, watch out for Joe McCarthy. He's going to be taking your list by storm. Absolutely right he is. And I think what I really liked in the recent couple of games that Joe McCarthy played is you saw, well, firstly, he absolutely dominated France in that game away in Marseille to start the Six Nations, which was the key game that won the tournament for them in the end, as it turned out. But that first test against South Africa recently, Joe McCarthy got outdone. He got bullied in that first test. And in the space of a week, he turned it round, asked himself some searching questions, and came and gave a reaction. And he was big in that second test. Love that. Top 2 then, RG Snyman. Now, some might argue he is a number 5, more of the athletic. In fact, he's got an incredible offloading game. But the guy's, 6'9" and 130 kgs. He is absolutely an enforcer. Look at the way he plays. The fact that in that Portugal game that he started recently, he had 4 Portuguese players trying to take him down, and they still couldn't. Was it Ragnar Viking, son of Thor, that the Corsa commentators called him? I just looked at him and I was sort of thinking, okay, fine, he's on the bench for South Africa. But if he were Irish or English or French or New Zealander, who would he be playing for? He'd be starting for those teams. So on that basis, he's my number 2. Making it a Springbok 1-2 at lock. Got some talent. They've really got some talent. And I mean, none more so than Eben Etzebeth. Now, I did the video earlier today where I was trying to bring a bit of reason to the whole discussion of the greatest of all time concerning Antoine Dupont. I've seen all the articles recently and I was just trying to have a bit of a conversation going, whoa. Easy. It's a really tough thing to call a GOAT, let alone call a GOAT while he's still playing. But I'll say this about Eben Etzebeth. He's on the way, if he's not already there, to being the greatest player in his position of all time. He's probably going to end his career with 150 test match appearances, maybe even break the record. He's got 2 World Cups to his name already. You wouldn't put it past him having a third. And the way he plays with such consistency is incredible. And so yeah, talk about greatness. In his position, this guy's got it. He's still there at number 1. That is the top 10 list overall. As you can say, a little bit of churn and a bit of change. Really exciting with those, the 2 South African guys at the top. Personally, I don't think you can argue with that. But the 3 that are following them, McCarthy, Mafu, Martin, young, new to international rugby, Massive impact so far. Big futures ahead. You think one of them, or maybe some of them, could be pushing Etzebeth in the next couple of years. You'd certainly like to think so. As for some of the players towards the bottom, Will Skelton, is he going to go back up or is he going to be sliding down? Ian Henderson, the same. Ollie Chesham, if he's not picked to start, the same. Will Rowlands, the same. Grant Gilchrist, I guess it's the same. Interesting one to watch the next time round, won't it be? And that's what this is all about. This is a little snapshot in time. We'll be able to look at it again in another 6 months after we've had the Rugby Championship, after we've had the November tests, and then I'll do it all over again. Hopefully you'll still be with me then, as you are now. If you haven't already hit subscribe, give the thoughts down below. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. I guess some of the players just to put on the radar for that might be appearing in this top 10 in future ones. You've got, well, who have you got? Guys like Poso Tuolangi, I guess. There'd be one. And if you're thinking, hold on, what about this player? What about that player? Don't forget, this is one of the lock positions. It may well be that the player that's in your mind right now is going to appear on the list that will be coming on the next video, which will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Video 6 p.m. UK time every single day until the team is done.